Good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Good. Welcome to ReadySetCrypto. We are Doc and Mav. Today is Wednesday, the 9th of March. Welcome aboard. Good to see everybody out there. Please go ahead and smash that thumbs up button and welcome everybody else aboard. Let everybody else know that we're starting here. We're going to be going for about the next half hour or so with some in-depth crypto discussion across the board, talk about the events of the day, and leave you knowing a little bit more than when you started here today. So glad to see you guys, everybody. Let us know where you're coming in from. Again, we are Doc and Mav of ReadySetCrypto, and we'll be getting started here in just a minute. Okay, we got somebody coming in from Pennsylvania. We got Darwin. We have the UK. Welcome aboard.
Very nice.
Good to see everybody coming in from different countries out there. Florida. So it looks like we're not going to be having anybody from the .ru coming in pretty soon for a while. Let's see. We got the Netherlands, Louisiana. Welcome aboard.
Nice.
All right, Canary Islands. I am coming to you from beautiful downtown Greenville, South Carolina. Hello from Mars.
He's still up there.
Yeah.
Still on Mars.
Still on Mars. Outstanding. All right. We've had a couple of interesting days, haven't we?
Wow. Certainly have.
Yeah.
I think that's been the story of 2022 thus far is couple down days and then some event happens and then we shoot back up. And yeah, we've been ping-ponging or playing a tennis match, it seems, between the 30K and the 50K levels for pretty much the last couple months here. Still is exciting though. I think there's still every reason, despite there being kind of like extreme fear in the markets, even during days like today, where, yeah, I think this is an opportunity. I think this is, even if we start to retest the lows, even if today's news kind of cools off or we have panic going into some of the Fed, inflation stuff, I think we're still in a very good spot. And I think, it's definitely, this is the time of year that historically has been very bullish, very positive for Bitcoin and crypto as a whole. Not saying that that's going to be the case this year. This might be a fluke or mulligan year, but we'll definitely have some interesting events going on. So, Doc, what are you seeing from the market's perspective? What's your big takeaway from today?
Well, just from the top down, we are still in a range. We're still in a range for most crypto. Now, I have to say, most of the assets that we look at have been in a pretty severe downtrend since November. So generally what we're having people do is to stay cautious. There's no reason to try to buy the dip just yet. I'm a big believer, I'm a big proponent of looking to buy assets that are going higher in price. So what is low can go lower. And so we're basically hands off at this point, although we are starting to see some important turns. Obviously we're watching BTC versus the US dollar, and it's still showing pretty good strength right now, as is Ethereum. A couple other coins are out there. Many, many risk assets, though, just like the equity markets are getting hammered into this. So it's more of a case of survival and not letting yourself get goaded into doing something you want to regret later. There is no bell that goes off at the very bottom tick of the market. There is no medal that's given out for buying the very bottom tick of the market. What you'll find is that most professionals are just looking to get a chunk of the swing to the upside, not to buy into the very bottom, not to sell out at the very top. Just get me somewhere in the middle and get that fat piece of trend that's in the middle there, and just got to be patient for it. So we'll go into our, lightning round kind of thing here in a few minutes as I look at some of the coins that Mav talks about. And then, of course, your requests, we will get to those. So start thinking about what ticker symbols that you want me to. If you throw out the name of a project, chances are I won't know it unless I know how to chart the ticker symbol. So make sure you give me the ticker symbol plus any other reference currency you want to see it charted against. and we'll get started here in just a minute.
Nice. Cool. So yeah, Doc, what's your takeaway from Biden's executive order? Do you think this is something is it a big deal for crypto, or I don't know, is it a positive, do you think?
Quite honestly, I was going to ask you about that because I don't know what his executive order was. But if that's the kind of the way that I look at the markets. I don't really look at the details of the news because the market knows all. It's out there like sensing what's going on, and the price action will tell you what it thinks of the executive order. And right now we're seeing just about all assets up today. So honestly, I have no idea what that doddering old fool said about crypto. But right now, looking at the price action, it's relatively positive.
Yeah, no, I think that's what we're seeing right now is definitely a response, or like this sort of short term, I don't know, just euphoria, I suppose, in the markets around. There was some concern that Biden's executive order was going to be very top down and restrictive and go after crypto businesses in the same way that the SEC has started to do so. And there was definitely a lack of that. But I think for anyone who hasn't read the executive order or wants, just kind of a Cliff Notes version of it, I read the whole thing, and my quick take is that over the past couple of weeks, we've seen a variety of politicians, media, consultants, a lot of whom are like former officials of 2 or 3 administrations ago, drive this narrative that crypto is not just useless, but dangerous and should be seriously restricted. Janet Yellen comes to mind as a great example of that. Or you've got, what's her name? Elizabeth Warren out there saying that, it's Bitcoin's so bad for the environment and it's, used only by criminals and things like that. This is what we've seen kind of over and over again is pushing this narrative. And I think in the background of this narrative that you could find statements from professionals at the Treasury or the White House, and they're on the front lines of crypto issues. And they're consistently saying that, well, yes, it might present certain risks or have certain elements about it that aren't totally, like Bitcoin's energy usage. It's not totally great, but it's not totally bad either. And they can be mitigated. That's the big point, is this tech holds great promise. It's in its infancy. We're in the internet tech of the 70s, if you want to go that far. This is still very, very early times. So to judge it completely, holistically on the merits of, well, Bitcoin bad because criminals and energy, so let's ban it or something like that. That's just
people always fear things that they don't understand.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this in a really Neanderthal way, but I'm just gonna drag a window in front of the capture window here. And this is Naval Ravikant. If you want to make the wrong decision, ask everyone. So I think this is a clear example of something like that, is that people don't know what they're talking about when it comes to crypto. So you got to, you can't, if you're going to make decisions based on what everybody else says. I mean, this is a great example of, like, if you're going to make trading decisions based on what everybody in Wall Street Bet says, you're going to make the wrong decision, because social investing does not work like that, right? So if you listen to the news, you'll probably make the wrong decision in terms of what's happening with crypto, because the people reporting on the news and the people writing legislation, quite honestly, don't understand what's going on. Like you gave 2 examples of politicians, but there's many more. There's actually some sharp cookies that are out there that are very protective of the crypto business. So pay attention to what they say, because they get it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think this executive order, while there are politicians and other figureheads that are out there making these big and bold statements to make themselves look better, what this shows today and why the market responded so positively is that this executive order is an affirmation that when serious officials take a sober look at crypto, the reaction is not to light their hair on fire, but to instead recognize it as an innovation that the U.S. can foster, will want to foster, and can lead while mitigating these obvious, short-term risks. And another message I take away from the executive order is that the federal government sees cryptocurrency as this legitimate, serious, and important part of the economy and society at large, especially during times like these. So I think it's a really good signal that to serious people who've been holding back from getting involved, this is a green light to say, yeah, this is something to take seriously. This is not something that is going to be on the fringe forever. This is going to be increasingly part of the discussion, part of the conversation. And this executive order provides another striking contrast with these sort of alarmist politicians and media who want to, ban crypto or call it rat poison or whatever. This is ultimately a call to further study and deliberate planning, and not a reactive rush to legislate or regulate. What I often say is that technology is not good or evil; it's the amplifier of intent. And further to that, progress is not obsequious or should be held back by process. Innovation should never be outpaced by regulation. So if anyone should not abide by the motto of move fast and break things, it's definitely Congress or the government at large. So yeah, this at face value, the executive order is very positive, or it is really refreshing to hear that crypto is legitimate. Crypto has a promising future. That crypto should be more part of the conversation, and ultimately developed and integrated to the legacy finance system. But and as today's title of the video stream, kind of relates to, I think everybody who has reacted to the executive order in just the way that we've just been talking about, in terms of, this is a step forward, definitely good for crypto, yay, price go up kind of thing, is not looking at the big picture here, and not looking at sort of the ulterior motives at play. And this is where I want to make very clear that I'm not getting into this political battle of Biden bad, Trump bad, any of this stuff. I think what Biden is doing is very smart for the long-term approach of eventually seeing a CBDC implemented in the US, and to basically lay the groundwork of having a regulated and controlled crypto space, which is, for anyone who's been around crypto and knows what it's really about, that's antithetical to what crypto stands for. This free and open and sort of permissionless space that is welcoming to all. To basically try to limit it, or to try to say what can and cannot exist, or how it should operate. These things are not in the best interests of long-term crypto development, and this will constantly be running up against this wall. And again, I think in the long term, this is negative for crypto in the sense that if we're celebrating the government basically coming in and saying, yeah, we'll work with you guys, we'll integrate you, it's just a little bit of a carrot with a very long stick coming after that, as CBDCs will eventually be here, and they'll eventually, I think, push a lot of this crypto space out of the way, in the way that they're going to be, very top down. You either work with us, or we'll kick you out of the system kind of approach. And because everything will be digital, it'll be much easier to do that versus the Swift system of today, and how things are commodity based and things like that. When we move to a more digital society and economy, you're able to play gatekeeper a lot more efficiently if you've set yourself up in that way. So again, I think today is a short-term win. It is a short-term hurrah for the space in a time where we desperately need a little bit of dopamine and goodwill. But I think in the long term, we have to be vigilant as to where this technology can eventually be implemented, where we see things like CBDCs, like increased power allocated to the Federal Reserve. These are things we have to be really careful against, because power gained in that respect is not easily power lost. This is very quickly becoming a case of combining identity and economy and, furthering basically the regulatory control and the way that we can see them using monetary policy to dictate people's lives. So yeah, that is what I hope we take out of today's executive order and just look at the long-term approach of things. And I know we're all here to basically make money. Very few of us go so deep into the technology that that's all we care about. I hope we don't, in our pursuit of making short-term, capital gains, lose sight of what is, really at play here, the big picture of things. And yeah, I think that's what this movement is about, is to keep us cognizant and awake as to what's really going on, especially as the world is changing so fast. So that's all from my side of things today. But Doc, as you mentioned, let's see what's happening in the markets, and let's take some coin requests, because while it is a sort of Bitcoin heavy market right now, if things do go back to the upside, it definitely is a time to be getting into some of these promising picks that we've been talking about. So Doc, over to you.
All righty. Okay, let's jump right into the charts, guys. Let's make sure this is working. All right, we got it. Okay, this is my North Star. This is Bitcoin versus the US dollar. And this is on the monthly log chart. So again, everything's still good here. This is fine. There's nothing wrong with this. This is, so even though we have dropped, 4 months out of the past 5, range expansion goes to range contraction. This is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. And what's really surprising is if I go off the log chart and go to an energy read here, this is the highest potential energy that I've ever read on Bitcoin, on Bitstamp, or, regardless of anything. And then the weekly chart is all charged up as well too. So this has been a big consolidation here. This is ready to go one way or the other. Now, I'm not going to say it's going to go to the upside. We could certainly go to the downside, but price action will let us know if and when it's moving which way or the other. But right now, after banging out a bottom down here, it's very likely just to run to the upside as well too. And all it's waiting for is certainty to come back into the market. Certainty is what is scarce right now. We also have the daily chart at big energy. So it's really rare when I have all 3 time frames that are lined up like this in synergy, ready to go. So watch the price action. So what we're telling people right now is we gave for our Omnia subscribers, we gave an aggressive buy down here just about 40,000. So right now we're long from an aggressive buy just about 40,000. And what I would say is that if you are long, expect to take some profits at the trend line, because that's where overhead supply is going to be. But perhaps maybe you can just leave part of your position on to go above that. So the conservative buy would be as the market transitions into a weekly uptrend. That's going to be 46,000. And if that's real, we're going to see volume behind that. So volume is always the secret ingredient that drives markets and that drives them out of their zone. So watch for that volume. I'm not going to go through the rest of the top 50 here, but we have a lot of charts that are in pretty severe distribution that are just looking to turn things around. Again, I'm not going to go through all of these, but these have been pretty well beat up, and we should get a pretty decent response as these start to break out of their bases and descending patterns. This is what I call rule number 3. Descending patterns always break to the upside. Okay, so with that, what I'm going to do is go over to our magic request line here, just like the old days, right? So I'm going to go into, so the first one that I did get was Cardano. And Cardano's in a pretty vicious, brutal downtrend at this point. So I would not be in a rush to accumulate this. This is one of the lowest prices that we've seen for a long time. And what is low can go lower too. So I'm not here to debate whether or not that should be or shouldn't be going higher or lower. I find those debates to be amusing because the price is telling you everything you need to know about this. So what I would do is in this case, I would wait for a break of this descending trend line. as well as you can look for a break of, you can see clearly that we have a series of lower highs and lower lows. So I would wait for a break of this trend line and or a drive above the $1 level for a buy on ADA versus the US dollar. Okay, so that one right now is on a void until you're ready to go. Okay, let's see, what else do we have here? Okay, YOP. This is a new one for me. YOP versus Tether. YOP. Okay, we'll just use Qcoin. And this one is, this is one of these distorted charts because so much of the room is taken up from the initial coin offering or when this was offered on Qcoin. Qcoin. I can't even say that word yet. So there is no trend here whatsoever. There's no trend here whatsoever. If you want to, what you could do is you could filter based on this collection of lower highs. So I would say once this breaks above this descending trend line, as well as the 200-day moving average, which I have in green here, this would be the filter for this one. So I would not touch this one unless it got maybe to 35 cents or so versus Tether. Okay, so that's YOP. Let's see. Handsome Man is looking for GFI. So let's see. GFI. All right. GFI versus the US dollar. I hope that's the right asset that you're looking for. This one is also in a bit of a desperate move here. So this is a relatively recent coin. You can see on the initial coin offering for this, or at least the initial listing on Coinbase, that it got pretty well destroyed after that. So right now, still in a downtrend. What I would do is I would stay away from this one unless it is able to break that trend line. Okay. Okay, Ian is looking for SNTVT versus BTC. Centivate versus Bitcoin. Okay, now this is tough. This is always tough when you have BTC in the denominator, because if this gets strong, all of a sudden Centivate's going to have to trend that much harder, because you're going long Centivate and you're going short Bitcoin when you're doing that. So if you're going against Bitcoin, if Bitcoin gets in a run, this is going to be difficult. So this is why I always chart everything versus Tether when I can. Now, what's interesting about this one is here's a former downtrend. There you go, which is now threatening to become an uptrend. So I don't like to chase after these kind of really whippy moves. This is a very illiquid chart. I can just tell by looking at this. This is very illiquid. But what it needs to do is it needs to put in a significant higher low and then start the break. So I would not be chasing after this one just yet. Wait until, and if you want to just cheat, you can just look at the weekly chart and say, when's this trending to the upside? That's not a trend. That's a swing to the upside. That's not a trend. Okay, so that's Centivate. Okay, Phantom versus BTC. Wesley. FTM versus BTC. Okay, same deal here. And the problem with Phantom is, like, if Bitcoin's strong, Phantom's going to have to be that much stronger, because you're long Phantom and you're short Bitcoin when you're trading that pair. And right now you can see Bitcoin's been strong the last couple of days and Phantom has not overcome that. So now you've got trading below the 200-day moving average, which implies a downtrend. Also, what you got to watch out for here is this is a former uptrend, which has now been broken. So this would be an immediate sell signal. This would be an immediate, like, out, get out. And go flat on this one and wait until this starts to trend higher. Or take Phantom and trade it versus Tether. You know, versus the US dollar, probably going to be, well, it's not that much different. It's not that much different. That just shows that Phantom is not that strong right now. So I would be looking for a break above this descending trend line. Okay, Avalanche, AVAX, I think that's Avalanche. So if it's okay, Alex, I'm just going to do one of these. I'm going to just do one of these. Okay, so I'm just going to do versus. Now this is a hellacious triangle setting up here, and a triangle can be continuation or it can be reversal. So it's going into the apex right now. And it's been essentially trendless, but you would have to say from a smaller time frame, this is actually trending down. On a larger time frame, something like the weekly chart, it really is trendless. It's very trendless. And range expansion, range contraction. So right now I'm being optimistic and saying that this is just a consolidation pattern. So watch carefully. I would... For an aggressive entry, I would want to see this thing trade above 90. A more conservative entry would be above 100. Okay, because that would be reclaiming the uptrend on first the daily and then the weekly as well too. Okay, let's see. Oh my gosh, nulls. I haven't heard of that one like forever. We were trading that like 4 years ago. Nulls versus Tether. Nulls is like going nowhere. Okay, so this is another broken chart. This is one that should have broken out and did not. This is a big basing pattern, big cup with handle, and the handle died. So this is a broken chart. I would avoid until this one is above this. And this tends to do this from time to time. Nulls is one of these weird ones. It's all over the place. This one's going back to 2018 for nulls. So nulls is kind of a broken chart right now. I would avoid until it gets above and beyond, maybe something like 70 cents. Okay, how about a look at HOT? HOT. Let's see if I get the right one here. I'm going to take, that's Holo versus Tether. This is another broken chart. You can see this here. We have former uptrend. Breaks right there in mid-November, right when everything else went down the toilet. That's a broken chart right now, is in distribution. So I would wait for this descending trend line. And then you can hope that this gets back in the range again. This is just a big, ugly pattern, which I think a lot of risk assets are in right now. Okay, Link. Chainlink, my God. Chainlink was like the hottest thing on the planet a couple of years ago, and it just has gone nowhere since then. Chainlink is another broken chart. You can see how strong this one used to be. This one was like like I remember seeing somebody talk about, can you imagine not being long Chainlink? Well, that was then. This is now, right? So you can't live in the market of the past. And this is showing a pretty nasty declining pattern right now. So before I would get back into this one, this is a descending wedge. Descending wedges tend to like break to the downside first before they break to the upside. So descending wedges typically do that. So I would be patient with this one until it breaks above. So assuming you're not still long on this one, this is what usually people ask me. Like they ask me about the health of their bags, and I have no really good news for them. But if you're not long on this one, if you just want to get long the project, I would wait until this starts to trend to the upside again. Okay, a couple to go, and we'll Luxo LYXE. Let's try this one. Okay, Luxo versus Tether. There we go. Okay, yeah, we're following this one. And right now this is up against the trend line. And this has got a nice little consolidation pattern. This could be an aggressive buy just above 15.5. It looks like it wants to break this pattern. So we're calling for a little bit more conservative entry, about 18 for an aggressive buy. And a conservative buy would be where the weekly chart transitions to an uptrend, and that's going to be about 22.5. Again, these are some of these coins we are featuring nightly on my video in the Omnia service. So VXV, vector space. Oh my gosh. I don't know what to say about vector space. This is, sounds like a great idea that is not taken hold in the financial marketplace. Initially was trading much further, has not been doing well since November, right? So I would avoid this one until it starts to trade in more of an uptrend. Let's see, Luna. Okay, Luna, let's go look at Luna. Sorry. I'm telling you guys, I'm an idiot savant. You know, I may miss your coin. All right, this is actually one of the ones that's one of the better looking coins right now. Now, I want you to look at this and look at what happened to this. I'm always talking about the same thing here. I always feel like I'm just, you know, talking into an echo chamber, but descending patterns break to the upside, right? So all you got to do is just track these things, set up these descending patterns on these downtrends. And as they start to break out above the high, like $60 would be the aggressive buy point. And now this has moved into a weekly uptrend. Look at this, a weekly uptrend. Okay, so now what do we do? What do we do with this thing now? Do we chase after this? This is turning into a cup with handle. So what I would do with this one is, let's look at the RSI Laguerre here. Actually, the energy in the weekly chart's not bad. I'm sorry, that's the daily chart. The weekly chart's actually got a lot of energy, which is surprising. Daily chart is still up there. I mean, if you want to, you can chase after this one because it did consolidate here, and this is a bull flag breakout. So you can chase after this one. Be careful, though, because this is equal highs up there. And so I'm thinking that more than likely what it's going to do is you've got your is that the cup and handle? So watch out. If this does break out above here on big volume, then you can chase it. Otherwise, I would anticipate a little bit more consolidation. But thank you for that coin. Luna is actually looking pretty darn good. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Okay, Rose. All right, this is our last one for today. Rose. I think there's a cool name on this one. I just don't know what it is. What is Rose? I swear it's in my notes here somewhere. Oh, that's the Oasis. That's right. That's right. We talked about this one a week ago with, okay, yeah, whatever. Okay, so here's our aggressive buy on the Oasis, which is about 28 cents. And a conservative buy is going to be a little bit further up there, about 40 cents or so. Okay. All right. We have completed our list. There we go. We're back. Thank you very much for those coin offerings. Matt, what you got to take us out here?
Yeah, so for anyone who tuned in late here and wants a quick recap as to the title of today's stream, short term, yes, it is very positive that we're seeing, the U.S. government basically acknowledge and recognize the merits of cryptocurrency. However, the thing that no one seems to be talking about is the very last point on the executive order. It's not really that long. You should really read it. It's calling for basically a CBDC, or, hey, can we lay the foundations for this as soon as possible? And, the pro side of that is, okay, the CBDC could work with existing cryptos and not against them. Citizens would be allowed to use their crypto of choice, and the government could convert other coins to their CBDC and use that internally. And it's basically a government-backed stable coin, the Biden buck or something like that, It's a potential solution for crazy crypto volatility, something that would be really nice. But the negative side of that, and where I don't see anybody talking about this right now, is that the CBDC and what Biden's executive order is pushing for is the end of physical cash, basically giving the government absolute power and surveillance over your money. They could cut you off from any other crypto, or foreign currency by just pushing a button. And they can cancel your purchases by canceling your money. It can stop you from ever leaving the US. And that's kind of the end game. Is it ever going to get to that point? I don't know, but it definitely opens the door. So, we already have solutions to volatility. They're called stable coins. And yeah, there's problems with them, but they work well enough to protect your, investments, your wealth, and provide excellent interest rates compared to the fiat system or any fiat-backed, stablecoin or stablecoin solution. So this is definitely where we find ourselves in just about more than any time in history. This is the crossroads of crypto wanting to move in one direction, but being pulled into another. We want a free and permissionless world where anyone is welcome. Everyone is able to contribute. Economy should be for the many, not the few, right? But at the same time, we are running up against the limits of reality, and we can't just have a fully decentralized system completely exist out in its own island. There has to be a bridge for people to get there. There has to be connections to the legacy financial system. And unfortunately, those connections come with caveats and regulations and things like that. So it is constantly a a battle between the Wild West and the government coming in and saying, no, we wanted to do it this way. So it is definitely a positive. I think in summary, it's definitely a positive to see crypto recognized in this way. It's definitely a positive that the US is not going completely top down just yet in terms of regulation and telling us what we can and can't do with crypto. But that being said, it opens the door for more of that in the future, and we need to be cognizant of that. So anyways, that is today's news in a nutshell, and that is today's stream. So thank you so much for hanging out with us. As always, we do these every Wednesday, or you can catch us anytime of the week in our Discord down below. We also run a couple other services, such as ReadySetTrade, which is Doc's service that is all about trading the equities markets and using options and basically being a more effective trader. His latest video is down in the bio below. Go subscribe to our second channel. It's excellent. We also have our other service, ReadySetVision, which is all about on-chain analysis and using some of these statistical models and blockchain data to really outsmart the market, get ahead in times like these, especially when things are so uncertain and volatile. We've come up with a lot of really great ways to basically make sense of all of it and use data and models to make better decisions. So it's all about outsmarting the market and just being a more effective trader and investor. And yeah, on-chain analysis is the future of crypto analysis as far as I'm concerned, because as we know, fundamentals don't really exist anymore, or maybe they never existed in the first place for crypto, but it's definitely a gambling game a little bit. So putting data on your side and using these models really does help up your game. So all those links are down in the bio below. But until next week, take care out there. Hope we continue to see some upside potential, but I think the markets are going to get a little spooked until we get past the Fed nonsense and we kind of see a more, direct absolution to the Ukraine-Russia conflict and the many branching externalities of what's going on right now. It touches so many things in the economy and our society. So yeah, 2022 definitely is proving to be an interesting year already. But hey, that's why we do this. That's why we're here. We're here to make sense of all of that and be as smart as possible. So that's your brain on blockchain. But Doc, you got anything else?
No, I think you put it well. So I appreciate everybody checking in today, and of course your coin picks, and let's keep pushing.
Cool, awesome. Well,
be smart,
take care
everybody.
out there, guys. Cheers.
All right, be good, everybody. You guys take care. Bye now.